Well, I try to think about this round table. What's the meaning of this round table? Well, of course, there is a contradiction between fundamental principles of democracy and among which, of course, equality between men and women and the content of religion or their interpretation. Those who govern us have solved the problem, saying there is a separation between public affairs and religion. But it's not enough. It's not enough because you have the day-to-day life and you have the pressure on women. So secularism cannot be just that. And this is the point for me. Where is the litigious issue in this case? It is on what is private and what is not private. We all agree on the fact that public affairs and religion have to be separate, although we have shown this morning that there are a lot of influences. But at least they cannot make it directly, while in day-to-day life they can do it. This morning somebody said that it's Professor Grayling. How can we change the mind? We are all struggling on consequences. And what is important is the symbols. Let's take the example of the Islamic veil. We all know what means the Islamic veil. It means a political and religious sign. It means segregation between men and women. It means that the body of women is source of disorder in public space. All of this is contrary to our democratic and equality values. And we say, okay, but it is in public space. We can do nothing about that. Of course, in France, they are a little bit special. They have the laïcité à la française. So here we have a litigious issue. What are we doing? I am an activist. I am not a philosopher. I am an activist feminist. My background was scientist. If I am involved in feminist, is to make our status progress. So I want symbolic actions, as Mandela has done in the past. He has taken an example, a quite interesting one, sport. He was a sportsman. He understood, first of all, that if you want to attack, you must attack not only on economic things, but on values. And when South Africa was excluded from the Olympic Games, it was a shame for South Africa. It was a shame for 30 years. And in '92, South Africa, when they stopped with apartheid, was back to the Olympic Games. Julie mentioned apartheid. You couldn't go to any conference without this question being raised. What about apartheid? We were speaking about female mutilation, and the answer was, but you have apartheid. You cannot raise this problem because you have apartheid. It was a priority. It's not the case for women's segregation. I think that we have here in London an opportunity with the Olympic Games. It is next year. English people have invented sport, modern sport. What is the characterization of modern sport is performance and uniformity of the rule. It's your invention. It's not a French invention. Although the modern Olympic Games has been invented by Le Baron de Coubertin, he has taken the idea from England. You have the Olympic Charter. The Olympic Charter is based on, not on cultural relativism, but on universal values. You have no discrimination is allowed in the Olympic Games. This is the reason why South Africa was excluded. You have delegation without women. Saudi Arabia, Qatar. They are not excluded. We have raised this question since 20 years. In those times, there were 35 delegations without women. Now we have 3. Okay, but why do we have 3? When it was black people, we had just 1. It was South Africa, and it was excluded. So this is the first question. The second one is that you are not allowed to wear political or religious symbols in the Olympic stadium or venues. You are not allowed. When the French people just want to wear this, you see this, it's a badge where it was just written for a better word. And French athletes want to wear this just to show that they were criticizing Beijing. But at the same moment, so they were forbidden to wear this because of Rule 51, forbidding any political propaganda. And this is, it's a quotation of the Olympic Charter. But at the same moment, you have from Bahrain this religious sign, and this was accepted, which means that now you have 14 delegations with veiled women. And these are good Muslims. These are from North Africa. They are good Muslims, but they respect the Olympic Charter. They don't wear the veil. So you are putting these women in danger, accepting this. This is what you have to understand, that not applying the rule, you are no longer protecting these girls. So we are in England, we are in Europe. Are we applying the Olympic Charter? And this is the reason why we have written this small brochure in French and in English. We ask, implement the Olympic Charter. Dare to implement. You don't have to invite a law. The law is here. Why don't you apply what you have yourself in England invented?
Ahlam, you have documented the change, especially in Palestinian society, as a new force of religious that actually come into power and change the lives of people, in particular women. And actually you fought in your life for women's rights. At the same time, bringing people together in your sort of other work in between Palestinians and Israelis. From your experience, do you think the compatibility is there any way that religion and secularism could actually work together and become, you know, they could live together in a, can walk into sunset as Nick Clegg advocates? The mic.
To be honest with you, speaking after Maryam is quite difficult. And I prepared a few thoughts, but I'm lost at the moment. But what I would like to say is that from my own research, from my own findings, I find that religious law, they are not compatible at all with any democracy or secular laws. Because in the secular laws, we have made sure that it's driven from the universal human rights, while religious laws are believed to be the words God, and it belongs to centuries ago, centuries in the past. So the absence of two elements, which is the equality and justice in these religious laws, made it no matter what, no matter how much you try to beautify it, there is no way that they can ever be compatible, or they could be, close to secular laws. And if we want to protect our societies in the future, we really have to stick to secular laws, because there's a lot of violence in these religious laws. And the unfortunate thing is that 95% of this violence is addressed against women. And it just not only limit or contain, it just humiliate and dehumanize women as an active part or a partner in building a better society, a society that is free of fear and violence. Being raised up in one faith, I can say that you are raised in a culture of fear, particularly as a woman, where this culture of fear could carry a lot of side effects when you grow up, and you don't realize that unless you are out of that society. Because while you are in this society of fear, you are not allowed to develop as a human being or as an independent person. What scares me at the moment most is that, I think we all were excited and happy to see the Egyptian revolution and what's going to happen. And I was very, very happy to see that until I saw certain reports, certain surveys that says that there is 59% of Egyptians that are standing with fundamentalist religions. That the 85%, they found that the religion influence on politics is a positive thing. But what worse is that 54% agrees to segregation between men and women. And what's worse is that 82% agrees and approve on stoning women, stoning adult, and 77% approves on chopping the hand of a thief, and 84% on the killing of an apostate. And that is scary, absolutely scary. And our voice here should reach to those revolutions, to women in there, because the debate that is going regarding reform of constitution, there is a lot of people saying we cannot reform it in one go, it has to be in stages and so on. And this is our role. But what really shocks me today is, I admit it, as a woman, I don't think we can go anywhere without men's support. Without men, our children, our husbands, our fathers standing by our rights firmly and realizing the importance of women in creating a society of non-violence. And that is the future we want. And the other thing is, it shocks me that still women, we need more women to understand, to recognize their equality and their role in the society, not just keep a passive role. And not only this, what we really need, we need to assure women that if you choose a faith, you are free. But in any faith, God cannot be just if he accepts violence against you, if you are deprived from equality, if you are allowed under the myth that God wants you to be a second or third wife. But basically, again, is to encourage women to be independent, standing on their own feet, without being financially independent. You cannot have the freedom of thought which gives you the strength to stand and say, I want to be counted, and I am part of building a better society, a society that is free of fear and violence. I keep it to this.
Thank you very much.